Buckle up and get ready for a roller coaster ride of some tasteless humor, lots of heart, and radical truth with two scrappy chicks. Because adulting is hard, but we are thinking that laughing about it is just so much easier. Hey, and we're back live from the frozen tundra of Illinois, right?
Yeah, you freeze.
Yeah, but the weird part is there was some kind of bubble over the northern part of Illinois, starting around the, I would say, the DuPage County area, and then like Cook County and all that up there. You guys got nothing, and
Nope,
we
no
did.
snow.
Yeah,
How many did you get, or how many? What was the accumulation?
it was an inch,
Oh, that's not
and
bad.
I wish I bought that electric shovel
Yeah,
because an inch isn't enough for the snow blower, so you have to do the shovel.
yeah.
But I wish I bought that electric shovel because I was watching the neighbors do it and I'm like, oh my God. And it was a light, fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but glad we did it because if we didn't, and as we drove on it and that, then it turns to ice. So our
Hmm.
sidewalk and driveway are not icy. And it says what? It's 7 degrees now. It's supposed to warm up tomorrow. And as the week goes by, it's supposed to warm up. I am not a fan of this weather. And somehow, well, let's see. I was challenged again to have to drive in the dark coming home when it had rained Tuesday. Um, Mr. Das was in the hospital just for one day, and I had to drive in the dark home, drive in the dark to go get him, and back home. And people were coming in with different things, swelling, stomach bug and whatnot. And he had to say, I'm gonna come home with a cold, and he did. And you know, the gift that keeps on giving. But I tend to stay away, and even though I did, I have a tinge of it. And don't know why, because I take zinc, I take elderberry, the oil of oregano, wash my hands.
And
Um,
are you also doing the green tea though with the zinc?
no,
Yeah, you need there's a compound in the green tea that allows the zinc to get into your cells and stops the virus from replicating. That's what you're missing.
okay, so just the regular green tea?
Yeah, just do every time you do your zinc, do some green tea because that's
Okay,
like the rider.
okay.
Like when people have that stuff called, I used to like it a lot until I learned what the rider was. You've
Hmm.
the brand name Zycam.
Yeah,
Well, their zinc, the rider that they use is aluminum. So that's what they use to get the zinc into the cells. And
okay,
what stops the virus from replicating.
okay.
So
Well,
yeah, so when you do the green tea, it's more natural.
we have plenty of that. I did the hibiscus with honey, and the
Yeah.
hibiscus kind of has a spicy flavor to it. It's got a kick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
thought you were going to say
that's
fruity or floral, not spicy.
right. So yeah, so that's been my week, and we're inching closer to Christmas. And I did not put the big tree up yet. I probably should
Yeah, I
for
haven't
the
done any
ragu.
decorations at all.
You didn't put no decorations up?
Nothing.
Ah, Mrs. Fazul.
Well, because of the cats, I'm like, I
Oh,
got to
do they
keep the
like to
lights up
climb?
really high. Yeah, because I have to keep the lights up really high. because Geo likes to chew light bulbs.
Oh,
So it's almost not worth it. And then Nicole got me a cute little window cling with like a tree on it, little presents and everything. And I'm like, just can't be bothered. I mean, it's really adorable. I mean, I probably will do it just because it's cute. Um, I don't know. I just don't, I'm just not into it, at this stage of life. And
yeah.
it's different for you because you have your little ragu, you have your
Hmm.
grandson. So you have that, I guess, holiday spirit thing still going because, you still got your little grandson that's
Yes.
just coming up and that's really fun.
Yes. Our cats do not bother the tree. If anything, Scrappy liked to lay under it.
Hmm.
I probably have pictures of her laying under it. Um, oh, I didn't tell you this. Ashley sent me a picture. She was at Petco or PetSmart, and it was a picture. And this cat was a Siamese lynx, like Minx, but he was a boy.
Hmm.
And it said he was two and really lovable and friendly. And I'm just like, oh. And I just keep hearing and seeing, people taking in cats and kittens out of the cold and that. And I was just like, oh, all these babies, I just want to rescue them
Well,
all. So,
I know you want to save them all. And that's actually going to be part of our new segment called Chame Chame Chame.
Jess, okay, you want to tell it?
Yeah, because this is and I think it got really crazy during COVID. I remember my son telling me, he's living out of state, in the state where he was, they were just finding more and more dogs and cats. The shelters were full and people just dump their animals. And I don't know if that's just out of sheer desperation or what, but I just feel like that is something that makes me really upset and makes me really angry because these animals don't have a say and they don't understand. They can't just fend for themselves. They're not just going to survive out there in the cold, cruel world. Seriously. They're not used to it. They're used to us taking care of them. They've been domesticated. They're not wild. And what kind of brought this up is that my daughter took in another rescue, this cute little boy, and she calls him Floki because I'm not going to say the relation or how she found out about it, but it was someone that she knew that their family had taken in a little boy kitten and a little girl kitten, and the family, I guess, couldn't afford to take care of them properly. So the stepdad, the boyfriend, just kicked the cats out. Um, the little girl, they never found her, but the little boy kept hanging around the house. So through the grapevine, my daughter heard about it and said that she would take him in. And it was going to be temporary initially because she already has two females, older. And he is just the most precious, the most sweet and affectionate. And he's just a good boy all the way around. And he's like my little Geo. He's an orange cat
Mm.
or creamy, like a creamy orange. And they're just not going to, and like it was like 13 below with the wind chill today. They're just not going to be able to survive. And that makes me so sad because you got them from a shelter, you took them out of a place where they were safe. You then took on the responsibility for these two lives. And if you're not able to cope, the best thing to do is to find someone that could help, even on a temporary foster basis, so that they're not just dumped outside. And we don't know, obviously the whole story on that, except the end result. Like I said, they don't know where the little girl is. All we can hope is that someone found her and took her in. But the little boy is, going to be staying with my daughter now. That's her new little boy. So he's acclimated very well to the older females. They too have acclimated very well, and she was really unsure. And you don't know until you do it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
she's been
there,
calling me because he was kind of had an upset tummy with the food she was giving him. So I just recommended that she just do some boiled chicken. And then my daughter Nicole had said, you can do a little famotidine. You just got to break it up into like four pieces. If it's like a 20 milligram, you got to break it up
Hmm.
into fourths, and then that can help settle their stomach. Because right, Stella, because your tummy gets very upset. Yes, thank you. And we have to give her some famotidine sometimes. So
And
yeah, that's what kind of brought this up. Why we're going to start the Chame Chame segment for shameful human behavior.
yes. Um, and a new kitty is getting along with her older cats because sometimes older ones, they don't want to start all over again, you know? They're set in their
Yeah,
ways.
she's very surprised. Like they're like sitting next to him now. They all can be in the same room. They all eat together. And she's only had him for what now? 2, 3 weeks, maybe?
Couple weeks, yeah.
And yeah, and she's like, no, they get along just fine. They roam around the apartment, they eat together. And she was naturally concerned that her girls might not like him, might not adjust, but he is just so, and I think because he's a baby too.
Yeah.
Um, he understands, these are the older ones, and he's just so laid back. He's just so sweet and so precious. And I am so glad that it's working out because I was really hoping that she wouldn't have to try and find him a home because you just don't know where they go.
I know. I know.
If,
There's just,
someone else is just going to, open up the door or dump them or something because of whatever, situation. So it just makes me so sad to hear about those situations.
yes. Um, an- Another chame, chame, chame. Uh, the donor did that to me. My three cats. We had two dogs and three cats, and he was teasing the one dog, saying, "Get the kitty," and somehow he got scratched. And he took my three cats, it was two boys and a girl, down to um the railroad down the street. And I had come home and I'm like, where the heck are the cats? Oh, I dumped them down at the railroad. I'm like, you did what? So I immediately went down there, was able to find two of them. I don't know how long they've been down there, and I never found my female. And I was so pissed. I never forgave him for that. And he did it again when we lived in another house because he claims that cat pooped outside of the litter box. And that was my tiger stripe cat, Stripey. He was a little chubby thing, just so lovable, and dumped him. And he also dumped a dog that we adopted from a shelter because while we were moving, he had the dog in his car, and I had our other dog. And he claims the dog took a chicken nugget from one of the kids, so he opened the door and just let the dog out in the field. My kids had to see that, and I was just like, unbelievable. I don't know back then if they had chips, um, so I don't know what happened to that dog, but um, he does not deserve to have an animal after what he did. You know,
No,
somebody should put him out in the cold or drive him
I-
where he doesn't know where he's at and just dump
right.
him.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. I know. If there was any justice in this world. But yeah. And, my ex did the same thing with a dog that he had to have. Got it from a college kid who, couldn't manage the dog because the dog was too big. And, we were living in this town. And of course, I was the only one working. I was always the only one working. And my twins were really little at the time. They were babies. They weren't even a year old. And yeah, and then he got this dog. And then him too. He just gotten because he couldn't manage him, couldn't take care of him. Instead of trying to find him a home or taking him to a shelter, he just loaded him up one day and just dumped him. And he came back, and I'm like, well, where's the dog? Well, I had to get rid of him. What do you mean? What do you mean you got rid of him? Well, I had to let him go. Let him go where? You'll be fine. There is a special place in hell for people like that, I'm telling you.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, and when you're involved, and as you know, because that was the donor, when you're involved in an abusive relationship, it's just every single day is a new nightmare. You just never
Hmm.
know what this person's going to do.
Right. Because not only are they cruel
That's,
to you, they're cruel to
yes, cruel
animals.
to animals, absolutely. And I think that's why I've just been so traumatized that, and I know I've talked to you about this many times, and I've told my daughter too, I just don't think I will ever have the desire to date or to be with anybody ever again because I just don't trust people, period. You know, which is fine because I feel like for me, that brings me peace. You know, I'm happy. I'm at, like I said, I'm happy. I have my peace and I have my friendships. I have my work and everything, and I'm not lonely at all. I feel very fulfilled and very peaceful with my life. And when we talk about stuff like this, it's like, oh yeah, that was horrible. It makes me want to just cry thinking about how horrible it was every single day. And it was so much worse when they did stuff like that to these poor innocent animals.
Yes. And how could you be lonely when you have me that like talks to you 24/7?
No, and never be lonely again.
Jess.
But you
Um,
know, that's the thing. You just gotta bring some awareness on that too, that, you know, if anyone is struggling, and sometimes people do, they might lose their job, you know, and when COVID was happening, all that ridiculous nonsense, people were having a really hard time, couldn't pay their rent and everything. I mean, it was, people couldn't, you know, because there's not all jobs were able to work from home. And I was very, very fortunate to have a job where I could be fully remote and it not affect me. But there were a lot of people that were not as fortunate, you know, and they just struggled. So I'm not saying, you know, I don't have any compassion. I just also say, you know, you just want to see what you can do to try and place that poor baby, that poor pet, you know, into another better situation so that you don't have to, you know, open up the door and they're just, you know, subject to the cold, cruel world, literally, where you don't know what's going to happen to them or who could find them, you know?
right. I know.
So that's all. Don't be a shame chamer.
Yeah.
Take care of your animals. They are, you know,
Yeah.
you made a commitment, you have a responsibility. And to me, I'm going to liken it to having a child. You're not going to open up your door and be like, well, I don't like you anymore. You're too expensive. I can't take care of you. So here, go ahead, walk outside, make your way, make your way in the
Right.
world.
Right. Chame, chame, chame.
Change, change,
Oh,
change.
and there is Facebook groups. I, I don't, I seem to join a different one each week. I joined a rehoming one for pets, not people.
Yeah, right.
And then because it's weird, it pulls up different um like suggestions. And then it has that little thing that says join. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I joined lost family members. So why don't you let's
Oh, yeah.
transition into 23andMe and Ancestry. Go ahead and tell your story and then I'll tell mine.
Yeah, as I think I might have touched on it before, but I found out in my 20s that who I was told my biological father was not actually my biological father. To me, he was my father in all ways. But I just always knew something was off because my sister and I are very different in looks, temperament, everything. So I'm going to try and encapsulate this. So eventually I did, you know, talk to my grandmother. She confirmed something for me. And then I talked to my mother because something still didn't feel right about the information that I had. And when I talked to my mother, she basically confirmed, yeah, that's, you have a different father. So And when you kind of find that out and you're in your 20s, and you're like, wow, my entire life has been a lie. And that really had me very upset and angry for quite a while. And I did end up eventually, working it out with my mom, and she told me about my biological father. And she had a lot of good things to say about him. He was, I find out later, he was a very troubled man. But in 2009, my son bought me an ancestry kit, and I did it. And when the results came back, everything that my mom had told me was accurate. And for me, that was enough. I think it's important. Our heritage, our lineage is important. We need to know who we are and where we come from, because that is part of your identity. Who we are, what we think, how we feel. So much is controlled by your genetics. So when I got that confirmation, I was happy. I was like, well, see, there we go. That was really all I needed. I wasn't going to go searching for anybody. I had my information and I was content with that. And I actually did have someone reach out to me, which was I want to say she's my second cousin once removed, and how that works. She would have to explain to you because I don't get it. But she emailed me through Ancestry, and she said, you share so much DNA with me, but yet I don't know who you are. So I said, well, let me tell you a little story about, I'm basically the affair baby. And she said too, yeah, that makes sense, that time frame, et cetera, et cetera. Then I come to find out that I have an older brother, 2 years older. And now my mother did tell me that at the time that she was seeing my biological father, that he was separated, and he did have a little boy that was about 2 years old at the time. And so it was him, and then it was me, and then there was another brother, and I want to say a sister. And when you find out, you're like, wow, this is really interesting, because there's all these people that you're related to that you would never have known about without this tool. And when my cousin, who I'm still very close with now, I mean, she's absolutely amazing, absolutely wonderful. She's been so kind, loving, supportive. She's, given me pictures of my biological father, family, grandparents. And come to find out, there's another brother, an older brother, even before the brother that was 2 years older than me, who unfortunately passed away about a year or so ago. And he chose not to have any contact with me because, sometimes when you get that information, it's very earth shattering. And I had by this point already a lot of time to come to terms with all this stuff. So for him, I think it was very devastating. And I never got to speak with him. That always made me really sad, because I thought, gosh, now that chance for me to talk to him someday is completely gone. And then come to find out, someone else had reached out to me through Ancestry. And it was a young lady. She did the DNA test for her dad. And I just got in contact with him through her. But this has been in the process for a couple of years. I talked to her first. And he's been trying to find his biological mother. We've tried to help, and it's sometimes very difficult to do that. And because we're not sure if she's still with us or if she's, passed on. And if she's still with us, is it, her family now that's not wanting her to reach out to connect, or is she having second thoughts? Is she afraid? We don't know what the situation is. But I know that he's seeking, and being able to talk to him is just really interesting because, like I said, your heritage, your lineage, it matters. And I think we're all going to be searching and seeking if we don't know a part of our life or not, because he was adopted as a child, and information came to light, later, some very delicate information that I'm not going to share. But he was given up for adoption and was adopted by a really wonderful couple who already had a child. Again, I'm not going to give up too much information here. I don't want to divulge a lot of private information. I'm just trying to share my experience as much as I can and be respectful of everybody. And I was so happy to hear that he had such a wonderful family. And still, mom had passed away, but dad's still alive. And he has a sibling, like I said, and he does, he has children. And sadly, he's also suffering from the scourge of the 2025, 2026 of, parental estrangement because of the child, the adult child. But all in all, it's just, I don't know what to say other than it's very interesting to find out that you have, quote unquote family out there that you've never met and has never met you and never would have never known that you existed had it not been for these tests. And that could be a blessing for some, or that might be, problematic. I think it's very dependent. And I think that's one of the reasons why I never ever tried to reach out or pursue anybody. They were reaching out to me because I just didn't want to upset anybody. I knew how upsetting it was for me when I found out. But I am glad that eventually he did reach out to me directly, not through his daughter. And we had talked for like a couple hours, and he was just like, he just seemed very lovely, very kind, very curious, about the family. And I had to redirect him to our cousin, who's, in my opinion, I call her our family historian. She just gives so much information. But I wanted to share with you, how I was saying, we're so much about us is controlled by our genetics. Like, I'll give you an example, and I know you're going to think it's crazy, but it's true. My mom used to tell me, Marie, when you were a baby, I said, come in the room and you'd be standing on your head in the crib. She's like, and it used to make me crazy because I was so worried that you were going to hurt your neck. And she's like, I've never heard of a baby doing that before or after you. She goes, it's always just been you. And I thought, well, of course that's me, because that's how I roll. if it's not over the edge, I don't participate. Come to find out that my grandfather on my biological father's side was living in Taiwan for a while. I guess he was extremely brilliant man. Again, sad I couldn't ever get to meet my grandparents. So I'm hearing about this, long after the fact that they passed. They were living in Taiwan, and he used to meditate, and he used to stand on his head to meditate. And it made me laugh out loud. And I told my cousin, I'm like, oh my gosh, is that the reason why I stood on my head as a baby? Like, I'm curious, has anybody else ever done that? Like, seriously, Ginger, have you ever heard of that?
No.
I'm so curious to see if anybody's child or baby, because she said, I was a baby. When I say baby, obviously not infant. I mean, like a year old, 2 years old. But she would walk in there and I'd be I'd be standing on my head, and she had to like stop me from doing that because it would freak her out. And then I heard, just through talking, over the years, and she shared that story with me, that's how he would meditate. And that's how, well, I'm sure he was taught how to meditate that way, but I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And I'm wondering, like, what else, because I feel, and I can only imagine how my biological brother feels too, because he's, at least I got to know my mom, and I do have a half sibling that I was raised with. So I do have, technically, we just have never been close. And it just really makes you wonder all that family history. And I know that my cousin has really done her best to share pictures with me and stories. And I do have a cousin that I talk to once in a while. I haven't talked to her in probably a really long time. And she's tried to be helpful too, to kind of help this family member that we have, her cousin, my half brother, to get more information. And it's just sad because I just feel like I should have been told this is something I feel you should not keep from your children. Um, who I was raised by, you know, it's not that I'm not appreciative. I'm extremely appreciative. You were my father in all ways that mattered to me. It just would have been really nice to know because it answered a lot of other questions and things that happened that I didn't understand as a child and felt very rejected and dejected because there was this very large part that once I found out about that, everything else made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm also wondering how many other people are out there that I've just found out, it's not a blame thing or a shame thing. It's just really trying to get your history, your identity, and people have their stories. I really enjoy Ancestry. I have no complaints about it aside from their membership is super expensive, so
Right.
I don't do it continuously. But I have built my tree because I do want my children to have, a semblance of history. And oh, I was also going to tell you, my son, the brother that I never got to talk to because he was so upset when he found out about me. My son and his son could be twins. Like you look at them, and that's what I mean. It's like it matters, And I feel cheated. I feel like my children have been cheated out of aunts and uncles and grandparents and that extended family. And isn't that what estrangement is doing too? So it's just compounding problems. Can't we figure out a way to be kind and loving and helping each other instead of constantly trying to punish one another? Um, I think I was
One.
telling Ginger, I'm gonna unveil it here for everybody else because we always use the term FAFO and we know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Because don't play with me, don't play with me. And then you said it once because we were having one of those conversations. We're like, yeah, FAFO, and I thought, excuse me, I really want to go into the year. You've heard me say this too. I don't want to swear anymore. It's not very successful. So I thought, how can I put a positive spin on FAFO going into 2026 into the new year? And it came to me where the positive side of that, because there's always got to be a yin to the yang. The positive spin would be find another favorable option. So when anything happens that happens to you and you feel like you're confronted with an impossible situation, it's making you upset and angry, think to yourself, FAFO. Find another favorable option for you and for everybody involved. Because
Love
we already
it.
know we can, huh?
I said, love it.
Love it, right? So we can find ways to be positive with each other. Not that we're not scrappy and we still mean, what we say when we say FAFO, just don't do it. You should never try to test somebody or push somebody past their limits. On the same token, we should always try to find another favorable option before we go on the attack or go on the offensive. Seek first to understand, to see what that person is going through. Like the person, like we were talking about with the animals. If you know of anybody who's going through a hard time, my daughter had lost her job and she was, trying to get through cosmetology school. And my daughter really stepped up and got her food and got, food for her little kittens, her cats, to make sure that. And then remember I told you, and it's so weird too, because we're so generous. I actually gave her all the food for my cats too. So it was like a 20-pound bag of cat food.
Right.
And Nicole was like, Mom, that was for our cats. I'm sorry. I just thought that was for her too. Only to find out that now she's got this little boy and now she's got plenty of food for them. So see, everything happens for a reason. So, and
Right.
she was saying too that, her little boy, she thought he wasn't maybe not feeling that well. And I said, well, could be the food. Sometimes they get upset tummies. And Nicole stepped up again and said, well, I'll see what I can do to help her. If she needs to take him to the vet or whatever. And that was exactly what I thought. I thought between all of us, one way or another, we're going to make sure that he gets the care that he needs, whether it's special food, whether he needs to go to the vet, whether, we're going to make sure that she's taken care of and her babies are taken care of. So we can all find a way to help each other, find another favorable option. Nobody has to lose out. Nobody has to open up the door and let their cats go because they can't afford to feed them or care for them. There are people out there that can help you. And there may even be a program there. I know that there are food pantries, and I have heard of, situations where they can not only give, like diapers and formula, but also cat food or cat litter. Ask around, help everybody to retain their pets and to keep these animals safe so that we're not in a situation where anybody has to be without a home and without safety.
I agree. And
So, yeah. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty. So you want to go ahead and close it out?
yeah. Next time I will tell you about my ancestry story. I joined Ancestry and my sister did 23andMe. So we'll talk about that next time. And let's see. It's going to warm up. And I think the two Scrappy Chicks will actually be in person this coming up weekend, making cookies and having their Christmas fiesta.
Our first annual Christmas fiesta.
Yeah. So stay
Feliz
tuned.
Navidad.
Yeah. Stay tuned till next time. When we share more of like our everyday life and important subjects that, really should be talked more about.
And if
Right?
you're curious and you want us to talk about a specific topic or you want to be interviewed, contact us.
Yes. There's many ways to contact us. Just look in the show notes. All right.
Okay, everybody, take care. Stay warm.
Yeah, stay warm. Be safe. Adios.
Adios. We love our Scrappy Peeps. So thank you all for joining us and becoming part of our flock. So please like, subscribe, and share. And if you don't like us, unfortunately, yo mama. But if you do like us, we look forward to seeing you next time on Two Scrappy Chicks.